Hi again, this is Bill Warner, and this is week 2, and we're going to be talking about the business plan, and we're going to be talking about the concept of your business. But let's start here with creating a winning business plan, and what this is all about is just to give you an overview of what a business plan contains and gives you a perspective of what you're in for the next several weeks in this program. You will be completing, before you're done, a business plan for your business idea. So in the context of the 6 Steps to Success program that we're working on here under the EPIC program, the first 4 steps have to do with the creation of a business plan. From ideation through conceptualization, which we're covering this week, then on to creation and evaluation, you will have in the first 4 steps a business plan that really represents what it is that what you're trying to do from your business idea. The 5th step is the launch of your business and all about how to do that. And the 6th step is you're up and running and have customers and you're selling stuff and hopefully making a profit. And that's what the purpose of all of this was, right, in the first place. But next four steps are creating the plan in the first place. So what's the purpose of a business plan after all? Why do we need these darn things? And you'll talk to, quite frankly, you can talk to some seasoned entrepreneurs and business coaches and other entrepreneurs, and you're going to get a mixed bag of opinions on the importance of a business plan. But I'm here to tell you, if you don't have a plan for your business that you can explain to first of all, to yourself, and in a pretty articulate way, and in a complete way, then you are in danger of falling all over yourself later on, because you will not have a complete understanding of what it is that you're really going to need to do to be successful. So the fundamentals of your business idea are, of course, your market, who's going to buy your products, what's the business model, and how you make money from selling whatever it is you sell, how you get to market in the first place, and what sales channels you'll use, and finally the financial dynamics of your business. You have to cover all of that. And they all work together. You got to understand that markets create the opportunity for going to market. You create the awareness necessary to reach customers. You got to have it priced right, and many, many, many other details, which we'll be going through. But how you intend to start and grow your business is what this is all about. And how this business will make money for you, and in a very short period of time, not too long. And then if you have investors, whether they're equity investors or providers of debt, where you borrow money, you will need to provide, or tell them how you will provide a return that's reasonable and attractive to them. So that's the purpose of a plan. If that's the purpose of a plan, why have the business plan at all? Who cares? Who wants it? Well, by golly, there are a lot of people. First of all, yourself. So I don't even have that on the slide. You have to personally understand your business in a lot of depth. And if you can't write it down, and if you can't communicate it effectively to others, you're going to have lots of reasons for ultimate failure. So the business team, the executives, the employees, the directors and advisors of your business, quite frankly, the investors as well, need to understand your business, else they're not going to join you, they're not going to loan you money, they're not going to invest in your business, they don't want to be in your board of directors because they don't understand what the heck you're doing. Your employees will not, you won't be able to hire employees because your business isn't explainable in the way they understand. So there's a lot of people, I don't know if you realized how many that are going to be very interested and need to be convinced that there's a good business opportunity for them to join in on in whatever way that might be. But the business plan also provides material to financing organizations, banks, non-bank financing institutions, private individuals, private investors, friends and family, all the way through formal angel groups, and maybe down the road venture capital groups, who knows. But they need to see something in writing that explains what this business is all about. It usually is the vehicle by which you get their attention. It's also the basis for grant applications. Everything that's in a business plan, and unfortunately, for a lot of you who actually have written grants, they usually ask a whole lot more questions than what is in your business plan. But you at least have to have the material that is an integral part of a business plan. Your potential partners and potential customers both may want to know more about your business before they do business with you. Certainly a partner will, but some really intelligent customers, particularly if you're early on as a business owner, they're going to want to know if you're for real or not, or whether you know what you're doing. Because taking a big risk working with you or buying your product at the very earliest stages of your business. So they want to know, hey, are you going to succeed or not? Tell me more about it. That's why you need a plan. A business plan, a good business plan, is broken down into these major sections. Of course, it leads off always with an executive summary, but that's something you write at the end of your business planning exercise. Else you don't have something to summarize. Kind of makes sense. But you're going to tell them about your company and the problem and the solution and the market, who your competitors are and how you beat them, and what your product and service is all about, and what benefit does it bring to the customer in solving the problem, and then how you reach the market through awareness programs, and what are the sales channels that you're going to go through to sell it to them and collect money from them, and then the brilliant management organization that you're going to have that runs this whole thing and are the right people to do it, and then the summary of the financial forecast that you anticipate, of course, which nobody will believe, but you're at least explaining what you think the financial dynamics are. And if you're going after investors, the highlights of your business. That's kind of the outline for the whole thing. So what I'm going to go through is each one of these sections with you and take you through what each one is all about. So again, the executive summary is written at the end. Once you've written the business plan in its complete form, now you're going to summarize it. And this is kind of a difficult exercise. You have to really highlight the most important aspects of your business. You're going to try to get this across in a couple of pages, 2 or 3, less if possible, but don't let anybody fool you that you need a 1-page business plan. That's ridiculous. But it's short and sweet and to the point, and makes all of the same points that I had in the outline in the previous slide, but very, very briefly. You ought to be able to go through this in about 3 minutes or less if you had to present it verbally. Yeah, and that gets you through the 2 to 3 pages of written material. But what you're basically doing is skimming over the surface of the most important aspects of your business. Not a whole lot in depth and in the weeds of all of what's going on. Is you're describing the results of what's happening in each aspect of the business. What your differentiation is in a couple of sentences. What your competitive advantages are in a couple of sentences, what the major benefits of the product and services, and leading to the value proposition that you'll use in marketing. Very, very high level as you go through it, step by step by step. And as we work with you in the mentoring that we'll be doing with you, you'll have a lot of chance to practice this. That's what this elevator pitch is all about. It helps you verbalize in net, concise, results-oriented language, full of facts, to illustrate the advantages that you have in your business and why it's a good business to be associated with. That's the executive summary. So I'm going to go through each section of the plan. The first one is a little bit about your company, and also could serve quite nicely as your elevator pitch. But here's where you, quite frankly, summarize the problem and the solution, just like you did in ideation. Same kind of information. But go on to say, look, and the business model resultant from that is, and a little bit about your corporation, when it was founded, and that kind of thing, so people understand what your company is, and perhaps some major things that you've accomplished. And that gets you off the ground and running with a good intro into the basis of your business, the problem you have and the solution you're going to be providing to customers. So once you've explained the problem and the solution you have to solve it, you're now going to get into the business of things. First of all, what's the market for all of this? And you're going to quantify the market demand, the trends that cause it to happen, the drivers in the industry in which it exists, and then give us a view of the total market that can be addressed. Hopefully it's large, and hopefully it's growing. That's the way it should be. That would be an attractive market. And narrow in on the market segment, specific market segment your company is going to focus on. So it starts as a big total addressable market. You'll hear the acronym TAM, T-A-M, total addressable market from a lot of researchers. But you're going to go after one piece of that. You're going to explain where you're going to start and where you're going to focus in that large market opportunity. Then you're identifying the specific kinds of individuals that would be those people within company organizations that have this problem that you solve. And you're going to explain in a lot of detail what they're all about through primary interviews, surveys, in other words, and summarizing then the highlights of what their issues are. And you want to learn a lot of things about them, like how do they buy, who influences them, how you create awareness of them, what are their preferences in buying, and the list goes on. And then you describe the products and the services that they're going to need. You may or may not have figured out yet that you've got a supply of that, but what do they need? That's a key distinction. This is all about them, the customer, the potential buyer, the product and services requirements that they have to solve the problem that you got through describing earlier. So expressing the needs, and then how do they need to have it delivered, how it needs to be supported on an ongoing basis. So that's how you deal with the market. So the next thing you're going to have to deal with is competition. So first and foremost, you've got to realize that a competitor is simply another company that is solving the same problem as you. They may be solving it in a very different way than you are, but if it's the same problem and they're trying to solve it, they're your competitors. So they're the ones you're going to have to beat. Indirect competitors, as you probably know, are other companies that are selling into the same market as you with lots of other product and service offerings, and for the most part lack what you have, but are partnering with others and perhaps even developing something comparable themselves. But they represent potential partners for you where you could provide your product in a value-added way to their solution and thereby be able to sell through them. They're also potential exit targets for your company on down the road, but that's a story for another day. But in order to determine how you stack up, you have to do what's called a SWOT analysis. That's always a good technique to determine the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, and threats. That's what SWOT means. An analysis of all of that about them, and then determining what their weaknesses are and how you're going to climb all over them in the marketplace. Another way to show how you stack up is a simple competitive matrix where you compare all of the necessary features that have to be in existence in order to win over a customer, and how you compare to the 2 or 3 other major competitors in the same market that you're going to have to beat, showing how you stack up and that you indeed are superior to them. So you need to show how you will win through the competitive advantage that you derive from the SWOT analysis, and you position yourself against all of these competitors with respect to how you stack up against them. Pretty simple. A lot of work. Summarized very simply, though, in a couple of charts and a few paragraphs on how you're going to win against any one of them. Next in the sequence is your product and services description. And it's usually the easiest thing for you to do because this is basically what you invented in the first place. But you've got to do it in an overview kind of way. That is, explaining the main features of your product or service, demonstrating how you're meeting the buyer needs that you described earlier, and the quantitative value to the customer, not you, to the customer, of the features that exist for within your product and within your service. Then you go on to explain the rollout plan, the development status, and the milestones you have met and will meet in the near term. Include how the customer is going to put the product to use and how you're proving the concept of your business idea through the early rollout of this product. You got to highlight the unique competitive advantages, again, in the context of the features of this product or service, and go on to explain why it's going to be hard for anyone else to duplicate what you're doing, the barriers to entry that they will run into if they were to attempt what you did. Usually it's a time to market advantage. That is, you're ahead of them by some number of months or years, and a lot of money and a lot of innovation that went into it that they would have to repeat in some way in order to catch up with you. And of course, you'll explain how you're going to stay ahead of everybody over the next several years. And then you highlight the possibilities of future products and services that are derived from what you're starting with. It could be simply through market expansion or additional products on a platform that you're providing via your product or service platform. Next the magic of marketing and sales, and ultimately supporting it after the customer buys it. The marketing plan is simply the demonstration of your value proposition and how you're going to create awareness. Let people know you exist. And we'll go through the various ways you do that. But ultimately, you've got to generate leads from these marketing programs. You're going to have to manage it through metrics and productivity improvements as you find and qualify new leads. And once you've got qualified leads, you need a sales channel through which to sell your product and services, and continually improve upon that product through your own productivity metrics and analysis. Of course, you have to price the product. You have to show that it's competitive, that there's good reason to believe that a customer, the buyer that you described earlier, will actually buy it, and the kind of incentives that you're going to move this thing along both through your marketing and sales channel, as well as incentives for your price incentives for your customers. Once they buy it and they've installed it, you've got post-sale support that you've got to have in place to answer their questions, resolve their issues, to fulfill your warranty and your maintenance agreements, whatever they are. But this is done briefly at this point, but there's going to be a lot of depth in the details of your plan and how to create this awareness and how to sell your product. It's just as important as the product itself. And once that in place and well understood, you're going to explain who the management team is that's going to deliver all of this. Explain their positions and roles in the company, their relevant, critical past accomplishments that say they're the right people to be running this company, that have startup experience and relevant industry experience. They may even have past working relationships with you and each other. Highlight all of that and explain why this is the right team at this point in time to run your company. Of course, then you have key advisors, and you're only going to talk about the ones that are really the world-class kind of individuals, not your lawyer, not your accountant, but the key people, the movers and shakers in the industry that you're entering that are helping you. Those are the advisors you really want to be talking about. You've got the wonderful opportunity to show your financial forecast that you've developed, and you've got an Excel spreadsheet, 15 to 20 sections long. I'm fooling you, but it's an attempt on your part to explain the financial dynamics of your business, showing how sales are achieved and how you're going to wind your way through cost and expense to profitability and show that you'll have positive cash flow in the near term, and produce the three famous financial exhibits: the income statement, the statement of cash flows, and your balance sheet. There's a lot that goes into this, and we'll take you through how to do this in this program. Most of your funding of your business is going to be a key element, so you're going to have to develop a plan for getting the amount of money. You figure it out through your financial analysis, how much money you need, and then you go through a plan of figuring out the most appropriate form of financing, whether it's debt or equity. We'll explain to you how you decide which, and what the sources of those funds could be, how to approach them, what the use of the funds would be, the terms that you're going to be interested in and some that you're not. But you roll that up into a highlight kind of presentation of why anyone should invest or why anyone should loan you money, and the potential returns that you could give to them that are derived from your financial forecast. And for some investors, they're going to want to see an exit strategy. We'll explain what that is towards the end of the program, but it's when you sell your company or merge with another company and provide a return to your investors. Some businesses are going to want to be able to do that. The conclusion of all this is every company needs a plan. I asserted that, I believe that, and I am trying to convince you of that as well. Have one. Have a good one. Do it yourself with help from experts. Know it well. Be able to explain it. Communicate it. Do it concisely and with a compelling impact on the viewer of the plan. Do the research. Know the details. Be able to answer the usual questions, and we'll tell you what those questions are. There's about 50 or 60 of them that are the most typical. We'll give you the list of them. And tailor this whole plan to the audience that will read it and will potentially want to join you in some way. There are no real next steps from this presentation. This is background information, helping you to understand what a business plan is all about. You'll be developing this plan throughout this program, and you now have a perspective of where you're headed. Move on next to the conceptualization presentation before the next class. Okay, that's the end of this module. Now, if you have questions, go ahead and contact your instructor, mentor, and your choices for doing that are, you can email your instructor at innovationcenter@faytech.edu. You can make a call at 910-678-8496. And you can schedule a meeting with your mentor in the virtual office on Blackboard. You can also post a question on Question for My Mentor discussion forum and have others participating in the answer to the question. It's a good way of sharing information amongst participants. But please note that you should not post a question that is divulging confidential information that would open up that confidential information to others to read. So be forewarned there. So that's it. Get your homework done. Look forward to talking to you in the next class.